Good afternoon. Welcome to the Action Drug Rehab Hour here on KHTS AM 1220 and 98.1 FM. My name is Cary Quashen. I am your host. And with me today is going to be Kara Miller. Hi, Kara.
Yes, hi.
Hey, Kara, we had other guests and they kind of couldn't make it.
Yeah.
One had a flat, one had to work, and one had meetings.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of, but if I don't know if you guys, I know a lot of people watched it and a lot of people were there, but we had our Candlelight vigil over at Real Life Church. It was put on by Real Life Church, Action Drug Rehabs, and of course KHTS Radio. And you know, to say it was a success is sad. Mm-hmm. I mean, really, we had almost 300 people or more. We had, it looks like a couple thousand people watching it online, for what I see. And in order for, I was very concerned about our turnout for a lot of reasons. The biggest reason, it was a candlelight vigil for people that lost a loved one to our drug epidemic. And to see that many people show up, success, obviously, but terrible, wasn't it?
Yeah. But, you know, in a sense, it was great because we were spreading the awareness of this drug. But to say these people have lost a loved one to this drug is very sad.
At one time, I had asked for everybody that lost a loved one to an overdose to please stand up, and if there was 300 people in that room, almost 3/4 of the audience stood up. I didn't even know how to deal with that.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
I didn't know how to deal with that. It was like, my God.
Yeah, it was very powerful moments, and I know that a lot of people were touched by this vigil.
Yes, you know, we had Bill Bodner with the DEA there, and I just actually graduated this DEA Citizens Academy, which is really cool.
I saw that.
I spent 8 weeks in serious training over there. I mean, it was like they put you through what the DEA has to go through.
Yeah.
So now I'm an ambassador with the DEA. Nice. But what he said is he's been through a lot of these things, but never something so powerful.
Wow.
And I mean, how do you get anything more powerful than all these families with the four that you and Jaime and Caesar and Crystal that actually stood up and told your story about losing somebody. It doesn't get more powerful than that. And I know we have a friend of mine, Ronnie, going to call in, and if anybody else wants to call in today, feel free to do that at 661-298-5487. 661-298-5487. We can talk about this, or you can give us your feelings. But here's the deal is, do you really want to know what the real pandemic is? And I wouldn't call it fentanyl. I would call it drugs. Because if you look at the amount of people that died, here's what we know. We know over 100,000 people lost their lives over the last year just in an accidental overdose. Just in an accidental overdose. That's a confirmed number. So if unconfirmed, you probably can add another 100,000. That'd be my guess.
Yeah.
So you're about 200,000. How many people do you think took their lives because of substance abuse or alcoholism? You want to triple that number now? At least?
Yeah.
And then how about arrests, drunk drivings, murders, robberies, child abuse, child molestation? The largest pandemic I think we ever had is right now, right in our face. And it's called substance abuse. I'm not going to say fentanyl anymore because the people that are dying, they're by far not, most of them are not going out there buying fentanyl. They're getting fentanyl, but they're not buying it. They're buying ecstasy or heroin or Percocet or Valium or Xanax or crystal meth or cocaine, yet they're dying on fentanyl.
Yeah.
So I think the real message out there today is not fentanyl kills. Everybody freaking knows fentanyl kills.
Yeah.
How about the real message out there is all drugs kill because it's in all drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't never know what the heck you're buying when you're out there. I can tell you this, and jump in, please, whenever you want. But
Okay.
I can tell you this, that there are no such thing as real drugs out there today. Every pill out there um, has fentanyl in it. They're not selling real ones anymore. Doctors aren't writing them. They all look alike. They look exactly like Percocet or whatever it is, but they're not Percocet. They're fentanyl pills camouflaged to look like Percocet, or it camouflaged to look like Xanax or Ativan or Adderall. They're camouflaged fentanyl pills.
And I think it's really quite a thing because I remember, I think it was like last year, there were those teenagers who took the drugs and then they were
Which time?
passed.
I know.
I know
so
there's
many.
so many. The high school kids. Do you remember what I'm
I
talking about?
remember exactly.
And then
what
the
you're talking
girls was found in the bathroom.
about. And that was off of ecstasy.
Oh,
They bought ecstasy
but
and
fentanyl
overdose.
was in it.
Yes. How about the two comedians that died last year?
Mm.
They only found cocaine, but it was cut with fentanyl.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or the people that I'm bringing into my residential treatment center for detox they're meth heads,
Yeah.
and I'm detoxing them for fentanyl.
Wow.
It's crazy. I was talking to somebody today that actually said to me, I'm strung out on crystal meth, but every time I use it, I'm nodding.
Mm.
So she then said, I think I'm going to need an opiate fentanyl detox.
Yeah.
That's just so free. It doesn't even make sense to me.
But isn't being detoxing from fentanyl is like the worst thing you could ever do?
The problem with it is when you're addicted to fentanyl, and fentanyl, let's get it straight, is one of the most physically and emotionally addictive drugs we've ever had in history.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're addicted to fentanyl, your body needs it.
Yeah.
Different than any other drug. If you're addicted to heroin or opiate or alcohol, I can bring you in treatment, give you some medicine, and you'll feel better. I can manage your withdrawal symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Problem with fentanyl is I can't do that for 36 to 48 hours, sometimes longer, because all that will do is put you in immediate crisis, in immediate physical detox. So you have that 36 to 48 hour period where you can't give them anything.
Mm.
So they suffer.
Yeah.
So it's like I was going to say like the flu. No, it's like dying. You want to die.
Exactly.
It hurts so bad.
Yeah.
So the problem is that is so frightening for so many people. Okay, I'm going to go to rehab, and for 36 hours, I'm going to lay there sick.
Mm.
That's a hard one. When all they got to do is go out and use, and the sick goes away.
Yeah.
So it's a really crazy drug. That's for sure. And now, at the vigil, a lady came up to me, and she lost her son, and I know her son. His name was Clifford, and what a great kid. But she had a friend of hers that had lost her sister a week before, which was 59 years old. Showed me a picture of her, and she overdosed on, of course, fentanyl.
Wow.
Didn't think she was getting fentanyl, but then she also told me that the skin was coming off her body. Now, there is a new drug out there, and users beware. It's called Xylazine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not regulated, which means the DEA can't do anything about it. It comes from China and other places. And like I said, it's not regulated, so it's not a crime yet. DEA can't get their hands on it yet.
Mm.
And what it is, it's a drug used specifically for cattle and horses and dairy and those kind of animals. And it's a sedative. What it does, fentanyl has a short life, meaning
Right.
you use it, you get really high, and then you come down.
Yeah.
This enhances the high. So it keeps you high longer and gets you higher. Only problem is, obviously, anything that gets you higher than fentanyl can cause a serious overdose pretty quickly. But now, even worse, guess what it's immune to? Guess what's immune to it? Narcan.
Oh no.
So now our life-saving drug that is saving all of these lives from opiate overdoses and fentanyl overdoses, there's a new drug in there called Xylazine that is immune to Narcan. So if you're going to overdose, Narcan ain't going to save you if that's in it. And it's in many states right now. We are definitely seeing it in California. in San Francisco and a lot Chicago and a whole bunch of other states. So it's another thing that we have to now pay attention to, and it's even a bigger game changer than fentanyl, because what we use to save lives won't work.
Yeah.
So it's bad news. Anyways, if you missed the vigil, this is my friend Kara.
Hi.
You want to tell them a little about you and how we met, and
Yeah.
then we'll go on and take questions or get phone calls or just talk.
So, my ex-husband was an addict with everything pretty much. And while we were separated, he was in and out of rehab, and he had Medi-Cal, so he wasn't able to get the best treatment. He had to be on waiting lists and all that. But while he was waiting, he was getting drugs on his own to ease the pain that he was in. He had back surgery, so he was addicted to painkillers.
Yeah, just real quickly. So right before the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
we had an explosion of opiates, as everybody knows. If you turned on the TV, it was all about opiates and overdoses, and people were addicting people, and big farms were getting sued, and the doctors were stopping to write prescriptions. So at the time when it was the craziest of all times,
Mm-hmm.
we had a demand for more drugs than ever before a pandemic comes. And now we have a stay-at-home order.
Yeah.
So people that were using drugs, you think they stopped?
Mm-mm.
They obviously use more,
Mm-hmm.
because now they're home alone. There's nothing to do. The world closed, basically.
Yeah,
You couldn't even go to a restaurant.
I know.
So people that were using used more. People that had anxiety got more anxiety. Family problems became at the worst ever. Domestic violence, suicide, everything, alcoholism, and bang, the pandemic came and we stopped writing prescriptions.
Yeah.
So all the people that were addicted to drugs, either because they were addicted to drugs because they have that addictive personality and they started with alcohol or weed or cigarettes and it just went up the chain until they were strung out, or all the people that went into back surgeries and all that kinds of stuff, they couldn't get the drugs anymore.
Yeah.
So where did they go?
Exactly.
To the street.
Yeah.
But the drugs on the street weren't real.
No.
China figured out, wow, what an opportunity we have here.
Yeah.
We have a country that has the more demand than anything in history, and there's no supply.
Mm-hmm.
So the supply started coming into the country. Now it goes into Mexico, and they're made in labs. We even know where the labs are, but let me ask you something. Do you think these are chemists making these drugs? They're not chemists. They're not doctors. They're people that are trying to make a dollar and
Yeah.
whatever it is. So my analogy is this: if you make chocolate chip cookies and you put too many chocolate chips, they taste really good. No, I want a chocolate chip cookie. But if you put too much fentanyl
Mm-hmm.
in the pills or in the Coke or in the speed, it doesn't taste good anymore. It just kills you.
Yeah.
And you never know what batch. And what I do know is now we're even starting to see mass overdoses, meaning 3 or more at the same time in one place.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time when we had the biggest demand in history for the worst drugs in the world ever, we didn't have any.
Yeah.
So now it opened the door for all the dealers and the cartel and whoever else wanted to make a buck. But people are dying, man, and we're not going to buy our way out of this. We ain't going to arrest our way out of this. We have to educate our way out of this, and of course, arrest the people that are dealing drugs and educate everybody and spend lots of money to make sure people get treatment and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, I cut you off. So
No, it's okay.
You're on.
Anyways, he was really addicted to painkillers, and one of them was Selma, which is a really sedative. It's a really big drug.
Selma is a muscle relaxer.
Yeah.
And it's a great drug if you're having muscle spasms and stuff.
Yeah.
But a great drug for short periods of time because
Mhm.
it's extremely physically and emotionally addictive.
Yeah.
So
Which he was. And my brother was on this drug for his muscle spasms that he was having, and then Aaron would take some of his just to, because he ran out or whatever.
And if he didn't take it, he would get very sick.
Yeah.
And muscle and soma, there is a very dangerous withdrawal from that. I mean, it's serious withdrawal. It's not like other drugs.
It is. Yeah. And I remember many times I would take Aaron to the hospital because he was having panic episodes or whatever, and the hospital blacklisted him because he was there so much asking for drugs.
I know that Henry Mayo and almost all the hospitals that I know of, Antelope Valley, Palmdale Regional, they have blacklists now.
Yeah.
That they know who the people are that are coming in that are drug seeking.
Yeah.
And there's also a new thing called the Cures program. What the Cures program means, if you go to a doctor and you want a prescription, they have to now type your name in a computer, and they see every drug that you've used, every prescription you have gotten. So they know now who is doctor shopping, and that's where dealers used to send all their people to get. They got all the drugs, and they sold them. There isn't that anymore, so they're getting them from the black market, which now we know is fentanyl. But the good thing about the Cures program, and this is just my thinking, is you also know what doctors are writing too much.
Exactly.
So my thing is you also got to now allow doctors to write prescriptions for people who need it.
Yeah.
You already know who the bad doctors are. You can follow them.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of different things we have in play now that can really make a difference. But anyway, I cut you off again.
It's fine. But the thing, he would use me as the scapegoat and be like, can you pretend that you're sick so I can get some meds? So guess what? Me being the loving person, wife, ex-wife, whatever that I was, not wanting to see him hurt anymore, I would go to the hospital and say, hey, I'm having a back pain. Can you please prescribe me something for it? And they would prescribe me a very heavy drug because I wasn't blacklisted.
Right. You are now. Did y'all hear that? Miller.
But I felt so bad about it afterwards. I was like, why did I do this?
Because you saw somebody that you loved.
Yeah.
Hurting, scared, and freaking out.
Yeah.
And you didn't know what else to do at the time. So.
Yeah.
Was it the right thing to do? Nah, probably not.
No.
But you did it because you loved him.
I did, but he would want me to do this probably every other week because he couldn't get the drugs. And I said, I can't do this every other week. I'll end up getting blacklisted.
That's right.
And then he just had to deal with the pain himself. But
you watched him withdraw a few times.
I did.
What's that like to see someone you love? Tell us what it looked like.
He got very angry at me. He got very verbally abusive towards me and kept throwing our kids in the mix. Oh, I'm the father of your children and you're letting me go through this. How dare you do this to me? Very guilt tripping, very emotionally abusive. And I just remember all those moments blacking out and just taking all this in. And like, it's just one of those moments that you just can't forget.
Yeah. How'd you deal with that?
Oh, I drank. I became an alcoholic as well. And that was my escape, which was the alcohol helped me deal with his.
It numbed you.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. And, I had a few pills that I took too because I'm on anxiety meds, but I was on Xanax at that time, and I took some Xanax to just totally zone out.
Yeah. What was going on with your children? You got their dad that's killing himself on drugs, and a mom that's trying to zone out a little bit because she doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, they were very. They were still young at the time, but they were really scared because they have these two parents who are both toxic to each other, and. There were times where we just take the kids over to the grandma's so they wouldn't have to see anything, you know.
Right. But they knew.
They did.
If I want to know what's going on, I ask the young kids in the house, and they'll always tell me. Yeah. Sadly, they know what's going on. When we come back, I want to hear about that day. What day? And it's really sad, really intense, but it's important for us to talk about this stuff because, like you said, we were at Starbucks before, and like
Mm-hmm.
you said to me, do you think we saved any lives? Heck yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Anyone that sat in that vigil or watched that vigil
Mm-hmm.
know better now.
Yep.
Any of them do. The things about doing those kinds of things is you don't know you're saving them because they don't die,
Yeah.
but you're
Exactly.
saving lives.
Yep.
So on that note, we'll come back again if you want to call in 661-298-5487. Welcome back to the Action Drug Rehab Hour. I'm Cary Quashen. I am the host. I got along with Cara Miller. And before we went on break, I know we're getting some people sending us messages and stuff. We could talk about them in a minute, but tell us about that day. I mean, and you all really pay attention and listen to this. It might save a life.
So, Aaron and I had an appointment with our government because we were on a government aid and stuff like that at the time. So Aaron wasn't answering his phone, and he knew he had to be there with me at 1 o'clock. And
Did he call?
I felt really, really like anxious that whole day. I hadn't heard from Aaron the whole day, the whole time. As I got home, it was probably around 4 or 5. I still hadn't heard from him, and my parents were like, "Oh, do you want to go?" He was living in a hotel at this time. "Do you want to go to his hotel and see if he's okay?" And I said, "Yeah, but I think you guys should go with me just in case something's wrong," because I felt like something was wrong. So as we got to this hotel, I go to his room, I knock on the door, and this guy answers, and I'm like, "Oh, is Aaron there?" And he goes, "Oh, I don't know who Aaron is." And I said, "Okay." And I walk out, and I'm like, "Wait a second, that is his room." So I knock on the door again, and the guy answers again, and I said, "Aaron's in here. This is his hotel room. What are you doing?" And he's like, "I don't know who Aaron is." And I see Aaron on the bed lying face down, and I said, "That's Aaron right there. You're in his hotel room. What is this?" And I didn't even want to go towards Aaron because I just knew.
So you actually saw him laying face down.
Yeah, and he was blue, which when that happens, you just know. And my dad had come up and heard me scream, and he went inside and touched Aaron, and he came out, and I said, "Hey, please tell me Aaron's alive. Please tell me he's alive." And he said, "He's cold. He is freezing cold right now." And he said, "You need to call 911 right now." So I had the hotel clerk call 911, and then the police came, and then they told me Aaron had died from drugs, probably because there was a lot of drugs in the hotel room. And it was not until months later that his autopsy report came back that he died from fentanyl.
And you had your children with you.
I did.
Your dad and everyone.
Yeah, everyone was with me. My kids were screaming. They were crying. They didn't know what was going on. And then Aaron's parents came soon after that, and they were crying, and they were in shock, really. It was just a really emotional day I'll never forget.
I bet you. I don't see how you can. I mean, that's
Mm.
PTSD and bad dreams and nightmares.
Yeah.
My guess is you had nightmares about that.
I did, yeah.
I figured. But you're sharing that message
Hmm.
is saving lives.
Yeah.
And Aaron is not going to die in vain. It's just
Yeah.
not going to happen.
No.
I don't want anyone to die, but I'm not going to allow people to die in vain, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And we are going to do something about this, and we can make a freaking difference.
Yeah.
I know we have a caller, right? So let's bring a caller on. Some exciting stuff is Action is growing. We're opening up in Lancaster next week, and we're reopening a 30-bed residential treatment center, detox, intensive outpatient, and partial in Bakersfield. So we're doing a lot, and we're moving one of our rehabs to the ranch up here in Santa Clarita. So we're doing some very exciting things. And the reason why I'm saying that is the guy Ronnie is going to be my partner in Palmdale or Lancaster, and I know he had something he wants to talk about. So I'm gonna bring him on. Ronnie, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
How you doing, Cary?
Good. Have you been able to follow what we've been saying?
Yeah, I've been listening to the whole thing, and it's just a very typical situation, unfortunate, that's occurring daily.
You know, I was on I saw you post something on Facebook the other day that we lost another one.
Yeah, so unfortunately, in the last year, I have lost, I added it up, I know it's coming on here to talk with you, 5 really close individuals. And something that I noticed that was in common with all of their unfortunate deaths is that each one of them had been in recovery and had 90 to 120 days of clean time.
Right.
And that very first relapse, that very first going back out and getting the fentanyl killed them the first time because, you know, they left off at whatever they were doing, the amount, and they figure they can do the same amount. And these lunatics out there that are putting this stuff out there, there's no special ingredient for this thing. These guys add as much as they want to put in there.
And they're not chemists. I mean,
nope, they're not chemists. They're just guys doing it in hotel rooms or wherever it may be. But so the latest one, where we'll call him MW. He got out of prison about a year ago, and he had just served about 9 years in prison. And he came to work for my company.
And for people
good.
Who don't know Ronnie believes in second chances. It gives a lot of people jobs, and it really helps a lot of people that are in need and helps them get back on life. And this was one that he was trying to help.
Yeah. So one of my things is, about the story here. So the guy, he was living in a treatment center. He was doing well. He had a girlfriend that just relapsed. A lot of these guys, you know, they go out on relapse over relationships. So this guy had 4 months clean, and he had just called me because he was excited that he was going to start a carpet cleaning business in the sober living house that he was staying at. Has multiple places, and they were going to allow him to start cleaning places and make money. And then later that evening, he just started calling people and just saying, you know, kind of like, goodbye, thank you for everything. And it was just kind of awkward. And people were asking him, hey, are you okay? And he said, yeah, he's fine. Well, apparently he had relapsed. And later that evening, he went into the bathroom of the place he was living at, and he stayed in there for about 30 minutes, and somebody noticed that the behavior wasn't typical of his behavior, and they kicked the door in, and he was on the ground. And they immediately begun giving this gentleman CPR. They called 911, and apparently they didn't have the Narcan there in the facility. And one of my friends that actually lives there, his name is Aaron. Aaron drug him out and tried to give him CPR. At that point, they said he had just turned colors and his body temperature dropped. And finds out later that immediately after the coroner took his body, there was another kid in there, young man, I should say. He packed his stuff off and took off. Well, so happens to be he was the one that went out and got it and brought it back and gave it to him. And you know, this young man, he's in his early 20s, just had a child.
Wow.
And he's gone. And I received a phone call at 3:45 in the morning. And the crazy thing was, a week ago, he was at my house, sat down and had dinner with my family, with my wife. And me and my wife we have a nonprofit. We work with a lot of ex-felons, a lot of homeless people. My wife runs an animal rescue, and I believe in giving people a second chance. And we take these guys in, and I put them into sober livings or treatment centers. And when they get out, we put them through the California Department of Rehab, and then we give them jobs. And it gets hard on me. These people are dropping with this fentanyl, and the only thing we can do is teach them and educate them about this stuff. But we got to get it off the street. We got to take these guys, these dealers that are out there. The consequences need to be more strict.
And we're not going to, Ronnie, we're not going to buy our way out of this, and we're not going to arrest our way out of this. It is what it is right now. We have to do more things like the visual, like what we're doing right now. We got to educate people that not fentanyl kills, that all drugs kill, because most of these people aren't buying fentanyl. They're buying pills thinking that they're buying Percocet or Xanax, but they're buying pure fentanyl pills. So we gotta, the only way we're gonna be able to make a difference is by doing this kind of stuff. And sadly, I'm gonna say a couple things. One is, I could tell you about a half a dozen people that I know that had died in drug rehabs in the last year that I know of. Fortunately, thank God, not ours. We almost lost one once that we had to kick a bathroom door down in Narcan this guy 3 times and brought him back, but that's about as close as we're going to get. And yes, drugs can get into any rehab. Drugs are all over the jails. I mean, we have buku overdoses in the jails. I'm not going to mention the jail, but we all know.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, you can't keep it away, that's for sure. And the reason why so many people that have been clean and end up using and dying the very first time is, what happens with people when they go out and use is they use a little because it's safe, they think. But then their brain says, I'm not high enough. I need just a little bit more. And their body says, you can't handle it. So their brain says, give me, and their body dies. Mm-hmm. And that's what's happening with all these people that have been clean and sober for a while and then end up deciding to use. And like I said, their brain wants what their body can't handle. And you already don't know what's in it or how much. There is, I believe, Ronnie, help me. I believe, Kara too, is that there is no such thing anymore as recreational drug usage because it's in freaking everything. So people who are recreationally playing around are recreationally playing Russian roulette with their lives every freaking time.
They are spraying, they are taking cartridges, which are people believe are THC, and they are actually putting fentanyl in the cartridges. They are spraying the marijuana with fentanyl. Here's something, a real quick little story. So I'm over at my son's house, and I go into his bedroom, and he's on Instagram. And I look at his Instagram page on his screen, his monitor, a big gaming monitor, and I see marijuana and I see different cartridges and different stuff like that. And I said, well, what are you doing? And he's like, it's legal. And I go, well, whose page is that? He goes, oh, some guy. And I go, do you communicate with this guy? I goes, yeah. And I said, does this guy know you're 16 years old? And he goes, yeah. So I called his mother in the room, and I said, what is this? She goes, I don't know. So we started looking through his computer, and this guy he calls them Skittles. Yeah. And they were fentanyl pills. And then I look at something else, and the guy has Xanax, he has Norcos, and he has all this stuff on his Instagram page. So instantly I go into a mode of, I want this guy, and I asked my wife, I said, we gotta set something up. Let's call this guy. I think I mentioned this to you, Cary.
You did.
About this guy. And and this guy is on this site, a 16-year-old young man that has a future in football, and he thinks he's looking at this whatever site, and these guys are on these social media pages, which I think there needs to be more task force and people that monitor, because these guys just have free multi-marketing.
Ronnie,
they just go out and sell their drugs.
Ronnie, it's like pizza delivery. You can get on Snapchat or Instagram, You can PayPal somebody or whatever it is, and they will deliver them to your house. That's what's going on right now.
But yet I'm banned. I was banned 10 times off Instagram for my content that I do.
Well, we won't talk about that. But then,
Well, the new one now is you can call an Uber, and you can place a package in Uber, in the back seat of the Uber.
That's
the drug
right.
dealer's doing it now.
That's right.
And deliver
That's
the
right.
package to your customer.
So
through-
yeah, Uber will actually pick it up. They don't know what it is. It's a bag, and they'll deliver it to you. I've heard some kids saying that. It's
They
just
take a picture of the package,
Right.
and then once it's delivered, they take a picture of the person picking it up, and it could be whatever is in that package.
That's Uber
And that's what
Eats.
the new drug dealers are doing.
So our biggest dealers today is Snapchat, Instagram, even on Craigslist. When you see we got tar for your roof, that's black tar heroin.
Yeah.
It's everywhere now. Uber Eats is delivering it. I mean, it's just crazy right now. So this is for anybody out there, parents, kids. Listen to what we're saying. There's no such thing as recreational usage anymore. It's deadly and dangerous and deadly, and you can't win that game. Experimenting with drugs today is a very bad idea. So if you have little kids that are in kindergarten, start talking to them now. Start talking to them now.
Yeah.
We need to hardwire these young kids now about the dangers of drugs, because let me tell you something. When they hit school, they're going to see it.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I know we have to take a break, but another big thing right now is I'm seeing so many young kids that are getting taken to the ERs because they're overdosing on edibles, guys. You're leaving your gummy bears out there and your brownies or whatever it is, and that's 100% THC. These kids can't handle it, and I know because speaking to some ERs, almost a dozen a day.
Wow.
So you all better pay attention to what you're doing in your house. And remember, parents, this is for you. Be the person you want your kid to grow up and be. Be that person. And remember that kids, do what I say, not what I do, don't work. We all need to be role models for our children. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. This is the Action Drug Rehab Hour. I'm Cary Quashen along with Ronnie Wilson and Kara Miller. Welcome back to your Action Drug Rehab Hour on AM 1220 KHTS and 98.1 FM, your hometown station. Wow, I was just thinking next week I'm going to bring some success stories on. Because the last few weeks I'm on a roll, man. I'm trying to do everything I can to beat this in people's brains that if you fool around with drugs, you're going to die. And I keep freaking telling people that, and they keep dying.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. It's a game you can't win. Nobody's smarter than this drug. Because you can't see it. You don't know it. It's invisible. So you can't be smarter than something you can't fight. So nobody's smarter than this drug. Experiment with drugs. Try recreational using. It's just a matter when I seriously believe that people that are using any kind of drugs today will be dead if they don't figure this out. I really believe that. I mean, I'm not just making that up. I absolutely believe that. That's how bad it is right now. Ronnie, I appreciate you coming on and appreciate your heart, because I know it's golden when it comes to helping and trying to save these people's lives, and I know how hard it is for you when you lose somebody. So thanks for all you do, Ronnie. And Ronnie and I are going to be partnering up in Lancaster, and we have a facility that's going to open up in the next week or so. It's already licensed and ready to go, so we will talk more about that in the next week or so. And Kara, you're wonderful. I mean, I appreciate you and the vigil, and like you said today earlier, are we saving lives?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. I'm trying to be easy with my words. I want to say something different.
I know.
But yeah, we're saving lives. We just don't know it.
Yeah.
But people that are listening are hearing this, and I guarantee that little 15-year-old kid, if their parents share this with them, will say, oh, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And parents, if you have young kids, please teach them not to take any gummy bears or edibles at school from anyone else, unless you give it to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, we're having a huge crisis right now. If you watch the news, it's been on almost once a week of some kid eating an edible and ending up in the ER, and that's just what we hear about. So we have to really be careful. I know that there's some messages. We're getting text messages from the radio station, from the show. Do you want to read them?
Yeah, so Holly, I can't pronounce the last name, I'm so sorry. Lederier, I think that's how I say it. She was asking why can't Medi-Cal or offer better help?
You know, Medi-Cal has actually upped its game, and it's not as hard to get people in treatment centers anymore. We at Action, we now take Medi-Cal for intensive outpatients and partials, and we're actually putting in a request to get residential, so we're working on that. But there's a whole lot of places that do actually do good treatment that take Medi-Cal these days.
Okay.
And there's not huge waiting lists if you know who to call. So anybody that needs treatment, I mean, if you call 211, you can ask for a Medi-Cal bed, or call us at Action and we'll help you find one. But the good thing about Medi-Cal too, it forces the treatment center to do certain things. So they really want to make sure that treatment center is giving you good treatment. So I'm pretty happy with where Medi-Cal is decided to go, the direction it's going in.
Yeah.
So that's good news.
Yeah.
You know? And also they believe in longer treatment, which I like. So anyways,
That's
and then
awesome.
we had some others, I think.
Yes. So Chris Coffin was saying we are master manipulators in our disease. And that's so true.
How do you know that?
Because we know how to do it. I mean, we know exactly how to think, how to do it, how to get around it.
How to connive and
Yeah.
sneak and
Yeah.
manipulate and all that. Absolutely,
Exactly.
Chris. And we have no choice if we're out there drinking and using. We have to figure a way to get our drugs and get over on things. So you're right. But if you really get back and you think about it, we think we are master manipulators, but at the end of the day, not really. People just enable. Do we have any others?
Chris again says that there is a Narcan vending machine in Austin, Texas.
A Narcan vending machine.
Which is awesome. I
love
mean,
it.
they need to bring that here.
I know. I think it should be in every house.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be in every school, in
It should be
every restaurant,
mandatory.
in every library, in any public place. Anyone in Santa Clarita that needs Narcan, Action Drug Rehab is a distributor for Narcan.
Wow.
So we have Narcan available always at our office. All you got to do is come over and say, I need some Narcan. You get to sign a piece of paper and it's yours. Doesn't
Nice.
cost you nothing. So there's no
That's
reason.
awesome.
So we are a Narcan distributor at Action, and we have it available always.
That's awesome.
Any others?
Chris again was saying he drives for Uber and he won't deliver any packages for that reason.
Yay, Chris! Give him a hand. I know Chris. He used to work with me. He's
Awesome.
He's a really good guy. I appreciate that, Chris. And thanks for your dedication
Yes.
to this madness we're in the middle of.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I think that was it. Yeah.
Chris. Linda Nile.
Oh, she was saying, thank you for saving my life, Cary.
Oh, now that made my day.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
We're saving lives and we don't even know it.
I know.
You're so welcome, Linda, and thanks for sending me that. You really made my day, and I appreciate that. I really do, and we're here. This is why we're here. This is, I hate to say this, but I live for those messages.
Yeah.
You know, the successes. We don't always hear that. We hear the bad ones.
I know.
So we have about 1 minute left. Anything you, Ronnie or Kara want to say?
Oh, I'm good. I just want to thank you, Cary, personally for everything that you've done. And it's just funny how maybe 8 years ago or 7 years ago, you were my counselor, and I went through a treatment center. And here we are today, going to open up a business together. And I personally want to thank you for everything that you've done for me.
That's awesome.
And I appreciate you, and I'm so freaking proud of you and proud to be your partner in our upcoming adventure.
Yes.
Kara?
That's awesome, man.
I just want to say to everyone out there, be aware of your surroundings, be educated, for sure. Teach the young ones now while they are still aware of it.
And everyone listening to this show, freaking share it to your kids.
Yes.
I mean, share this thing. This is the stuff that's going to make kids think twice before they say, okay, give me that hit.
Yeah, my kids are educated. They know what killed their dad, and they're like, we're not touching that stuff.
Thank you for coming till next week. This is the Action Drug Rehab Hour. Please be safe out there.
Yes.